What's going on, everyone? Coach J-Mo, also known as Jameson Hedgepath. What I'll be talking about today is linebacker play in the quarter system. Currently, the DC at St. John's College High School in Washington, D.C. Last year, I spent the year at Carroll University. It's a Division III right outside of Milwaukee. Um, while I was there, I had the pleasure to coach a lot of good players, work with a great defensive staff, and um, part of the reason why I love quarters is because linebacker play can be exceptional with it. Um, the mantra that we had was to get the E. Again, this was for us to really maximize our effort and to really say that the play isn't over until we finish with the ball in our hands. We're going to go through this presentation fairly quick and really get to the film so we can definitely interact with in regards to questions. Before we start, again, I'm huge on standards. Again, those are my non-negotiables, right? That the players then turn into behaviors to hold each other accountable, and everyone can commit to it. Undeniable effort. You'll hear me say it over and over again. Um, all that means is that when another team looks at us, they say that everyone gave effort every single play. Lead by example on and off the field. Again, that's really us just sharpening our iron or sharpening our axe so that when we're doing something, we don't do it until we get it right. We do it until we can't get it wrong. Vocal leadership is probably the biggest challenge in our game today. What that really looks like is communicating to someone when their behavior isn't aligned with a culture. Um, again, if they're not running to the ball, again, if they're not communicating pre-snap, post-snap, that's definitely something that needs to be corrected in regards to leadership. Communication triangle, again, no defense works without communicating. What that really looks like is speaking, then getting the response from the person that you're speaking with or confirmation, whether it's a verbal response or a signal. Uh, During the play, you got to communicate the type of blocks. We were heavy with gap scheme in our conference. We're heavy with push cracks in regards to the receivers blocking the apex defender. So we definitely had to communicate that. And then when it comes to pass, definitely in and out in regards to the zone coverage. Um, the last thing that I usually leave the players with once they start communicating is to understand what your communication does to your teammates, what it does to the coaches. Competitive means that when they leave that conversation, they feel better about it. Combative means they leave or there's something else to be desired in regards to the conversation. So the first thing every linebacker has to do is they have to align the defensive line of themselves. Again, my technique is a little bit different from reading the triangle. What I teach them is to line up the defensive linemen, line themselves up, and then based on the movement or the gap exchange in front of them, that they then go cloudy clear in regards to seeing where the ball is and tracking where the ball is. Uh, I used to teach the triangle read. It was very challenging for our younger players in regards to really picking it up. So I've um, mostly moved to a one gap and then cloudy clear in regards to teaching. We are an odd spacing defense usually. What that means is that we have an A to C read. That typically means that you have the gap that the running back's going to and the gap you just left from. Again, that gray area in coaching the linebackers is really understanding what's clouded and what's clear. Clear to me means that I can run through a window and tackle the ball carrier. This is something that when they practice throughout the season, each player has to identify what's clear to them, what's cloudy to them. Because again, that's a skill level type technique that each player has to understand what they can do. I was great at running through versus zone defenses or zone offenses in regards to zone blocking. In regards to gap scheme away from me, I was more of a lateral than stack to get the ball carrier. I was not able to hit that open B gap when the guard pulled. That was not my game, but there were some players who were very good at that. Run pass key, definitely huge part of triggering and getting to that clear moment. Two-man surface, again, we're really having our eyes on that mesh point, especially with so much zone read that the teams are doing in power read. We definitely have to see um, who has the ball, where are they going, and how they're trying to leverage us. In regards to any type of additional surface, whether that's 3, 4, or 5 man, we're really playing more of that one gap style defense. If you get space, take space. If you get a gap exchange, you're lateral and then back downhill. In regards to how I teach it, really just tell them, hey, attack and react is one gap defense. React and attack is really that two-man service or that odd space in defense where you're lateral first until the ball makes you be vertical. When you're in the edge of the box, you got to read the in man on the line of scrimmage. Sometimes that's the tight end, sometimes that's the tackle. Again, low, high, high hat. We definitely have to teach that because there are instances where that will linebacker is apexed out of the box because they're giving us a spread look. In regards to on the line of scrimmage, we do have some fronts that our D line or our linebackers walked up with the D line. We have to basically just read the via the neck, no different than what a DN would do. So cloudy clear. Again, this is really our eyes getting to the mesh and really matching the steps of whoever our run threat is. The reason why I say whoever our run threat is, if we have let's say we have Ford open, we got trips to the field, we'll have both of the backers be somewhere near the box. That backer that's to the running back's to the weak side of the formation. If the quarterback was to pull the ball, he would be a quarterback player. The linebacker away from the running back would be a dive player. And so we basically have to have our eyes on the mesh to say if we're going to be outside fitting or inside fitting based on where our leverage is. Again, cloudy means I can't completely see the ball carrier and I can see the ball carrier, but I can't take that window to make the play. Clear is I can see the ball carrier and I can accelerate through to make the play. Um, because we are more in a react and attack, we have to be lateral and really stack the defensive lineman. And so if the running back's going to the right, I'm going to basically go lateral to the right. And then once I stack that D lineman, I'm going cloudy clear to make sure that I'm able to find where that ball carrier is going to end up. In regards to the pass, we use hat hands technique to take speed off of number two. Again, when we are out of the box, we're not in the run fit. We will be in primarily five-man spacing. Um, again, if we're not in position to collision the threat, we'll use one of two threats again, or one of two drops. That really depends on where the ball is. Again, college hashes are a little bit different than high school hashes. Um, if we are close to the if we're close to the numbers, we'll do more of a flat drop. Again, that's us really being lateral, us using that shorter space to the sideline to basically be able to keep our shoulders and our hips square. In the instance where there's a ton of space to cover, if they've given us some type of conflict in regards to the in-man on the line of scrimmage and the split of number two, we can use a traditional drop where we actually open our hips and point that toe to the intended receiver or the landmark. Probably what's the most challenging for most of our linebackers is these questions that are here, right? Really understanding what type of player you are. Again, the defense that we were running was a true split field coverage. So we would fit the run differently if it was a three-man surface to the boundary, if it was fib to the boundary, if it was 2x2, four open, if it was 3x1 to the field with an attached tight end. We basically would fit it multiple different ways to say if we are uh, reacting and attacking or attacking and reacting. And we'll sort of go through that once we get to the clips. Are we out leveraged? That's probably the number one thing uh, when you have two linebackers that are in the box that are vice players. They have to be able to identify what that looks like for them. That could be a log block in a power scheme, right? That the log block is really the guard wrapping around to really pin us inside. We did have some of those plays last year. Um, and then there are plays where we are in an A gap fit and they run zone away from us or zone to against our leverage where we have to be lateral and defeat the block of someone who has our shoulder. Engage or slip block, again, that is a lot of gray area that I help teach. Most times when we're slipping blocks, I communicate to them that we're going to um, that we're basically going to use a jab step or a shoulder reduction, and then we'll use either dip and rip or dip and knuckle back, um, shoulder reduction in a rip, or club arm over. Um, Most of the times when I saw our team successful is when they slip blocks actually to the front side. Most of the time, I try to teach if you're getting run at you, you want to basically engage the block. But our backers were very good at slipping blocks to the front side, and so you really have to adjust your teaching to what your linebackers can do. So let's go to the film. So again, we have quarters here. As you can tell, even with the three split receivers, we're only putting two people there. Again, this team was heavy run first down. So we made a call to basically keep both backers in the box and really allow them to throw that bubble to number three if they wanted to. If they wanted to throw anything else, like we were really confident that our defenders outside could get off blocks and make plays. Um, when you run quarters, you are going to run gap exchanges. What that really is going to look like is what I call a torch stunt or a read stunt. What's going to happen is you're going to see both of our D tackles, and then you'll see it from the tight here. They're basically reading the center's snap. So when the center snaps the ball, whoever gets a face, they're crossing. Whoever gets a butt, they're basically rib caging and penetrating through. Um, we'll let the clip play. So this happens a lot to us where we get face, we're crossing, and because everyone sees us running this stunt, they basically double down us um, with the blocking scheme. So how I teach the backers on this is that you wait until the the first person crosses your face, and then you replace. As you can see, 42, he goes with the jet. He has really bad eyes on this one. He's going with the jet, and we basically do get creased. Luckily, uh, we have our safety fitting this. Um, but ideally, we want to be once we see this here, and again, 42 does a bunch of crossover runs, which primarily I like crossover run when we're talking about more of I'm already beat from a leverage standpoint. In this situation, because the ball's to the short side of the field, we really don't really need to utilize a crossover run because there's not that much space, and they are creating. They only have a three-man surface there. They're jetting us to try to get four, but we could have stayed square on this one. Um, Again, this block, because he's so fast, because he crossover runs, he has to engage the block, which he's not successful with. We definitely get pushed out of the gap. Um, our Will was able to rock back, which is definitely something that you'll see a lot when you teach odd spacing. Again, once he sees that defensive end that his hair is expanded, that C gap, he now is going to adjust his path and be able to get in on the play. So ideally, right here, this Mike Backer should let me get my line. He should be here and he should be square. When he's square, he can now see how this sorts out. Because he crossover run as well, he got the 3 yards. Again, when you get the 3 yards, linemen only have to take the normal footwork path that they are accustomed to taking. When you're at 4.5, possibly 5, they have to take an extra step. And that extra step is really our opportunity to block shed. Again, that turned into a 4 yard gain. Again, we were in 6 man space, and we ideally would want a little bit better, um, especially when we got basically the stunt basically took care of three people. If we're lateral here, this guy's not going to block us, and we'll have a clear rundown right off of this person's butt because both backers would show, and this thing would cut right back here. And ideally, we would have this for a minimal gain to a tackle for loss potentially. And again, as we go through these clips, I do not mind any questions that anyone may have. So, all right. So as you can tell, a bunch of jet action in this league, um, really to try to get our eyes, um, to be undisciplined. This was the third best running team in the conference. This rusher averaged 140 yards a game up until this point in regards to their career. His career, we held him to 45 yards in a day on 29 carries. Again, really good player. How we're able to really hold him in regards to this particular game and this particular play is really because our Mike Backer right here makes an exceptional play of getting his hands on this running back. So we run what we call they have basically what they call pitch stunts. What that really means is that they're going to basically take away A and B gap, so linebackers can be lateral and basically take C. We're still running our same torch stunt. So again, he gets face. He should work around. Again, the goal is to get it where we have three blockers blocking two people. We get that here with this picture here. We get that. We get a strong close by our end in regards to he's not able to cross face at a tackle, but he is able to be tight enough down that we get a wash block from that H. Now, ideally, our backer would be about a step and a half tighter, so ideally he should be somewhere here. But because he has face on this block, it's amazing. Again, we want to face block everything. We want to be able to have our eyes to the block. He goes through. Again, this is something that we work every day. This is that dip knuckle back. Yeah, he knuckles back, but not all the way through. Is able to grab opposite arm, assist on the tackle. That's a 2-yard play. I would love Zero, our backside backer, to be more lateral on this play. Step up hurts us, right? This climb step hurts us because in gap scheme, we're still giving them access to this shoulder that's here. We don't want any access. We don't want access to this shoulder. We take away access to this shoulder by being lateral. Once we get lateral, um, again, our path should be here. Our path is here. When our mic goes underneath this block, I should be right here, face on this block. We'll basically have a natural vice between our sandbacker and our wheelbacker, and it'll be a minimal gain in regards to the play. And same technique in regards to the D tackles, playing the torch stunt. Again, we're going to do that, especially when we have added tight end to the box. Again, that's the only way we can really make the math be accurate. One that's down bottom was a guy. I mean, we double him. He still had 6 for 125 and a touchdown. Again, really good players. You have to commit more to the pass um, to have a shot at defending them. On this play here, we get the vice that we love. Again, this is what it should look like when we're lateral first from 42, which is our mic on this play. As he's pushing lateral, he's able to face this and make this play. Our backer, the Will Zero, does a good job of adjusting his path. Again, he sees that ball is not in the window, blocker's not in the window, and he adjusts his angle. Again, this is a good job here. Again, our end does a fabulous job of doing a great job in the six technique of creating a new line of scrimmage. Again, that's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Again, that's a reset 2 yards off the line of scrimmage. Again, our backer is coming because he's tight on his initial footwork. He's able to then adjust his angle. And now, if you see, he took a flat step to get to that 7. Again, that is knowing what you're supposed to do in a vice situation, and knowing that guess what? If I can continue to keep my leverage, that the Mike linebacker is going to make me right, and then possibly I'm going to make this play by dipping. Again, this is a great job of dipping knuckle back. Again, our backers were shorter guys, as you can tell. So that dip knuckle back really benefited them because they had more power because they were lower than the guy that was trying to block them. That's a whiff there. That's a whiff. You'll see it here from the tight copy. Again, ideally we would love if our three tech didn't hop with this movement. But again, getting to here is what we want because now that tells the backer that he's crossed me and it's a clear read. Again, now he's following the path of the back. He sees that, guess what? Back is going on the outside path. I'm going to adjust it inside out. Textbook. Textbook. So what a lot of teams started to do to us throughout the year was that because they saw us playing so much five-man spacing and doing so much in regards to stunting our defensive tackles to try to negate three of their blockers, is that they basically added a blocker. So they on this play, they're basically going to add the running back in regards to being the Mike. They're going to run basically quarterback lead. Again, spread, most of our teams were either 12 personnel teams or they were 10 personnel teams. It was not many variations of 11. Um, and we want to be able, again, this is 2nd and 6. Again, this is what we consider a par down. They can run it, they can pass it. On this particular play, we did a horrible job of backpedaling. Again, the footwork when we're in five-man spacing should always be lateral. It should be lateral. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take away A gap, B gap run through. That's what the offense wants to take away when they're in, five-man block and pass pro. They basically want to make it where if you're going to get pressure on the quarterback, it's going to be a hot read and it's going to be off of the opposite guy that you tag as the Mike in regards to possible B gap pressure if the defensive end blitzes C, or just straight edge pressure from a will or from a safety or nickel in regards to C gap pressure. So we take that same rule that the offense has with pass pro, and we apply it to stopping the run game um, when we have the numbers disadvantage. Again, if we're lateral on this, we take this block on probably 3 yards downfield. Again, I understand why he backpedaled a little bit because he's getting a pass set from 75. So I understand, that this is what I like to call a false read. Again, but my communication with our players is always telling them what second down is for this team. Again, 2nd and 6, balls in the middle of the field. We are thinking shot on this, but we're also thinking run, right? And to me, shot is something where um, we're getting past that from every single person. Again, good vision here. A little too patient in regards to the leverage on this. Um, on this play, we know that we have no B gap fitter here. We're anticipating this defensive tackle clearing the face of whoever shows, whether that's the guard or the center, and we don't get that. Like we get him to face block this, and when he face blocks this, we don't know what gap to take. We don't know if to take the 7 gap or the 5 gap, which is basically we don't know which side of the A gap we want to take. Do we want to take inside A gap? Do we want to take opposite into the B gap? Because again, this is not a clear read for us to say that he has this gap. He's basically a stack, which means he can go either way. Um, I would love if our feet did not square up here, right? This is too far of a distance for us to make this play when we have square feet. Ideally, we will have um, staggered feet on this in the approach because, again, the distance is so far away. The only time we want parallel feet is in regards to once we've defeated a block, we want to get parallel feet and then basically get our eyes to the leverage point and then track that way. But here, this space is too much for us to track to have parallel feet. We get one cut and good job of punching. with the hands, again, we got the separation that I ideally want, which is him going back a step or two. Again, pad level wise, not the best. We would love to have both our feet on the ground and not really have one foot on the ground, one foot up. Um, but again, we're getting off this block. Um, Again, this is a horrible play for us. We second and 6 has now turned into first and 10, and it looks like they were at about the 30-yard line. Yeah, 26. That's a 19-yard gain because of bad eyes, because of bad technique. Again, my goal in showing these clips is to really show, um, you know, what is effective again, but then also show where we mess up at, where we have to continuously um, be intentional in regards to our technique, in regards to our leverage, in regards to how we play. So we're in a goal line situation, first and goal. Again, this team did a bunch with sniffers. Again, how I teach sniffers is that we actually key the sniffer. So in case you have a fullback or H back, we basically key the sniffer, and then off of the path of the sniffer, that's when we go cloudy clear in regards to fixing the D lineman. So in this picture here, what ideally we would do is if we got swipe here by this H, we would basically have this backer get to stack this guy here and then go cloudy clear. This backer gets stacked here and then go cloudy clear. The reason why we would not stack this defensive tackle that's here is because we know they're stunning, if that makes sense. So we want to get the stack. And then once we see that that person has crossed our face or our vision of where we're going, that's when we now get our eyes to the backfield. So we got the swipe action. When you see from the tight, we were out leveraged by our will. So ideally, in this torch stunt, especially when especially when you have no tight in your side, one solo receiver, ideally we should be a gap stacked on this. This backer should be more 40-ish. That way we're getting a true read and we can really fix these defensive tackles. Because we have our loose alignment here, and again, we're stacking a guy that's in the 2 eye. Ideally, I would want us in a 1 so that we can truly see where this levels itself out. Because we can still play this open B gap. Though if we're in a 1, if we're in the 10, we can still play this open B gap if we got running back going across. But we also can get to opposite A in case we get an insert action here or we basically get a combo to us. We can basically still play both of those blocks. And that's the goal. Your alignment is to play two different blocks, two different gaps based on running back formation. So ideally here with this penetrator here, I should be lateral here. I should be going to the right hand side if I'm 39. I should be moving here. Because again, my question is, does this guy cross the face? Right? If he doesn't cross the face, then that's my gap. If he does cross the face, then we'll get that natural X fit from both the play side and the backside backer. So now currently we have two guys in the gap. We have our nose in the gap. We have our backer in the gap. We have a great close here by our edge, doing a good job attempting to make this ball bounce to our safety. And once we recognize that, oh, we got two in the gap, it's too late. We're already 3 yards. Again, if we're lateral on this, we have ability to make this play. And again, Sniffer tells us to be lateral. If he inserts, we're going to be lateral to stack the defensive tackle that's over 54. Again, if he's across, we have to be lateral to then fix our D tackle. But he's downhill, which I don't love. Again, the goal of these clinics is to show you plays that work, plays that don't work, and how you just have to keep refining the technique. Not really good pad level by 42. Or Mike, again, he got the face of the blocker, which again, I love us being able to get the face of the blocker. He called out the again, this is how I tell on film if our kids are communicating. See this finger point here? That tells me that they're talking. If I don't see hand gestures when we're keying someone and someone goes opposite, that really tells me that we're not communicating. Uh, on this, he has no win. I understand why he's patient. He has the face of two blockers here. We have someone in A gap. Uh we basically have two gaps here that we're trying to fill. A good job with hat hands. Again, pad level. Again, our feet are outside of our frame. Ideally, we would want this foot tucked up underneath this hip. We would want our opposite foot, which the umpire is blocking, tucked underneath this hip. Again, hands are good inside. Again, he was very good with hands inside. You got thumbs up. Again, that's a good hand placement. But again, hips, we have to be a little bit further down in our hips so we can actually generate some force through the ground. Again, we got hat inside, which is ideally what we want in this picture to um, to tell the safety to fit off of us. Um, again, pad level, pad level, pad level. We have better pad level on this. We were able to stop this, finish this play. Again, that's a touchdown. That's a really good run by the running back. But again, it, when we're six-man space and we got to get both backers in a vice situation to be working in tandem. This isn't us working in tandem. Again, if he's right here at 55 on the face of 55, this space is now restricted where this gap's going to be covered here between this gap's going to be covered. Our Mike's going to fill this gap here, and then we force the ball to go here. And when we force the ball to go there, we're going to have a natural vice between that defensive end and that safety that's behind us. Any questions on any of this? And I can go back through clips if anybody wants to talk about a particular play. No questions? Oh, this is amazing.
Nah, I mean, pretty much broke it down. I got my man Coach Rambo back in here. Uh, well, bro, I definitely always appreciate you. If you want, you want to forward it to me, let's say later on down the line, CERN, Rambo, or the young guy want to get it, then we can go ahead and forward it over.
Yeah, it's already in huddle.